I'd like to welcome you all to our online info session about our Immigration Legal Assistant Diploma program here at Ashton College. My name is Davina, and I'm part of the marketing and communications team. Today, we are joined by Mahsa Mehrvarz, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and one of our Immigration Legal Assistant Diploma faculty members here at Ashton. She'll answer some questions about her background and career, the Immigration Legal Assistant Diploma, career opportunities after graduation, and more. All right, let's jump right into the main interview portion of this session. Welcome, Mahsa, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, thank you so much. It's an honor.
Awesome. Okay, let's start with my first question for you right away. Can you give us a short breakdown of the Canadian immigration field and what it involves?
Sure. The Canadian immigration field involves working with Immigration Refugee Citizenship Canada, Canada Border Service Agency, and other departments that are responsible governing bodies for immigrants to come into Canada. If you want to work in the immigration field, you'll be communicating with these departments basically every single day. IRCC introduces pathways, different ways to immigrate for people who are interested to come to Canada to live, visit, work, have a business, and they come up with these pathways, they update them, they change the requirements, they close one program, they open another one. So that's basically the Canadian immigration field.
Definitely sounds like a very versatile field with many, many different things to do and
Definitely.
very impactful, I'm sure. Awesome. Then my second question for you is, can you tell us briefly about your career and educational background and why you chose this field?
Well, I'm an immigrant myself. I moved to Canada from Iran when I was almost 17 years old, 16. I finished high school here and I went to university. My background is in psychology and gender, sexuality, women's studies. I graduated from Simon Fraser University. After that, I worked a little bit in the legal field. However, I wanted to make something of my own and start my own business. That's why I took the immigration diploma course, the very last one that Ashton College was offering in 2019, which was, I would say, one of the best decisions that I've ever took in my life. It was a short program. It was every single day for 4 hours, and I got through it, but the pandemic started. So the classes became online, and then there was an issue with where to take the exam. Is it going to be online? So the exam kept getting postponed. Fortunately, I could take the exam in 2020. I passed it the first time, and immediately after receiving my RCIC license, I did start my own business in Lower Mainland, Vancouver area. Later, it was required by the College of Immigration and Citizenship for RCICs to receive another diploma for working with Immigration Refugee Board, which I started that as well. It's another program that I teach other RCICs this prep course for the IRB exam. So that's my career, and I have been in this field since January 2021.
Awesome. That's a great story. And definitely, yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of RCICs also have their own immigration journey behind them. So I feel like it's probably much easier to relate to the struggles and yeah,
Very true.
everything.
Very true.
Yes. No, that's, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about you and your journey. So my next question for you is, can you tell me a little bit about the Immigration Legal Assistant Diploma here at Ashton?
It's a course that Ashton is offering. It used to be a certificate, now it's a diploma. I like it this way more. I've taught both. It has 10 modules, starting from, how to work in a legal office, how to be in a legal environment, because not everyone has that background. And then slowly it goes into accounting, research, legal research, how to write formal letters, memos. And then the later modules, the second half, it really focuses on immigration pathways. For example, sponsorship, temporary resident visas, refugee citizenship, permanent residency, and other categories. It doesn't really go into the details that RCICs went to, but it is a heavy course. So you have to, study, show up, do your assignments. It is almost the same, obviously, material and the law as the RCIC-IRBs. However, not as, I would say, technical, but you still have to know a lot about the program.
That definitely sounds super helpful for students wanting to enter the field. And yeah, sounds like they get a lot of hands-on practical skills through completing the program.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So then what else I would like to ask you is, how would you describe your teaching style?
It is different. It is very different from even my professors, my lecturers, my teachers. I really do want to connect first with people and not just go through the material, because I feel like the connection will help later if they need something more, if they need some more time privately. I assume basically that I'm your friend or a classmate or a senior student, for example, that already went through this program, already passed the exams, already got her license and qualifications, and then she started working at a law firm. And now my friends, basically my students, are going to take the same class, and I'm tutoring them. I'm trying to teach them what worked for me and what were the most important things that helped me pass my exams, do better in my career, and just be a better legal assistant, basically. So, because I started as a legal assistant when I was a student at SFU. So I was a full-time student taking 4 classes, like 16 credits, and also working full-time with a lawyer, immigration lawyer. So I know how you can study and also try to work, because most of my students are changing careers. They already have families, some have children. So I'm trying to like make that connection so they don't feel like I'm going to talk about it, topic, go read about it, don't ask me any questions, I'm gone. No, you can reach out to me. I always share even my like personal number. I'm like, if you cannot come into class, please let me know. If you need like a little bit of more time because your child is sick, let me know. So I'm trying to make this course, whichever module that I'm teaching, first of all, memorable for them, because you'll never forget the class that you really liked. Maybe one day they decide to go to another university and become an RCIC, which most of the student might do. So I shouldn't really discourage them. I should say, this is a great career opportunity. You really should do it, because see, it worked for me. Maybe it works for you. So I think that encouragement and saying that you can do it, that's my teaching style, and that's how I'm gonna, continue. And I assume, it's been going good. It's been working. So obviously, I'm always open to feedback and everything, but I don't want people to think taking this class is just something that they might succeed in. I just want people to know, put the time, study, invest in it, because this is an investment for yourself. And I can be an example.
I think that's definitely a great teaching style. Just builds that stronger connection with the students and just them knowing that they can reach out to you.
Exactly. Every question is welcomed in my class. Interrupting me while I'm, going to really like talk specifically about a topic. You can definitely raise your hand, interrupt me, and say, I did not understand any of this. Because if I just continue, you didn't understand any of that. So I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting your time. Ask me questions, email me later if you have, outside sources that you want to discuss in class. Immigration and talking about Canadian immigration is something that I can talk about for days. So I welcome that. I really welcome it when people say, after the class, I went and read this. How does this work? And I try so many times, I've said that obviously without saying names and anything and keeping confidentiality. I use real life examples, real cases that this happened in this case. And because I'm using these examples, I've gotten feedback that students have said that before. Whenever the question came up in the exam, I said, oh, Mahsa brought that example that she had like from 2 years ago. This is the answer. So I think bringing examples and students not being discouraged or afraid to ask questions is something that works for me and is beneficial to them. And their benefit is what I'm after, what I'm looking after, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just, I think, just a great approach of dealing with being the instructor and dealing with the students and building that relationship. Awesome. So great to hear. Okay, then my next question for you, also a little bit more about your teaching and the course. What are your expectations of students in the program? How much study time will students need to dedicate each week to be successful?
So different each module, basically. Some modules, there's so much more textbook that you have to read. For example, knowing about permanent residency, sponsorship, refugee law. You have to know literal law. So you have to know immigration law and the regulations. And we talk about it. However, some of other modules is about research, is about writing and excelling and improving your speaking and writing. So each one is different. However, classes are normally Monday, Wednesday, Friday in person for 3 hours, which means you have to show up. When I ask questions, you have to participate. I don't normally say, oh, always have your webcam on, but I want to see some faces. I want to hear some discussions. So that's basically mandatory for people to show up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Tuesday, Thursdays, I record the day before or very early in the morning. So students have the time to start the recording early in the morning and catch up. And normally the rule is if you're in class for 3 hours, you have to study outside class for about 3 hours as well. So if it's writing and you want to improve your writing on your own time, you have to write more. You have to write, bring your writing to me, email it to me, and ask me to proofread it for you, which is my job, and I will do it, and I will try to help students. But other things are laws, regulations. You just have to read the textbook, do the questions, show up for the participation time. When I put students into breakout rooms, I check on them. Like I don't leave them in a breakout room for 30 minutes for chit chat. I go to the breakout rooms. I try to connect with them. I'm trying to see like what they were talking about, which was the most interesting part of this case. So depends on the module. However, if you're in class for 3 hours, study for 3 hours. And if you miss one of these classes, unfortunately, because it's so compact and you are basically having, classes every single day and you have to study every single day, you miss a couple of these, you're behind like a chapter or two, and you really have to study to catch up. So before taking this course, make sure that you see it in yourself to put the time yourself. I can only do so much. Obviously, students have to study on their own time, but I would say the ratio is normally 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, depending on the module.
That's definitely really great. I feel like for students to know in advance, like how much time they will have to dedicate.
Yeah.
Great.
And you shouldn't be leaving anything to last minute or the final exam because you are not going to get the passing mark. We have so many quizzes. I normally have 2 quizzes in each module. Each is 10%. You miss them or you don't get a good mark, at 10%, 15% is gone. So basically you have to work at 85% to be at your 100. And then we have participation mark every time that people don't come into class with no excuse. If you're sick, if you're, children are at school, or your partner, or anything, or work called, definitely let me know and you are excused. But if, people are neglecting to come to class, then it means I'm not trying to put the time. So no matter how many times I explain a case or a concept of immigration or a pathway, when you're not trying to read the textbook, read the cases, and show up, then you cannot expect an A or an A plus. But I talk about this every time I start a class. I tell the student, this is what you have to do, and you will do perfect. If you listen to me right after the class, read the pages that I told you to read, your learning curve will be like this. But if you don't study and you're just relying on my notes or the slides, which are definitely not the most complete because slides are slides. I say so many things more to the slides. If you're not taking notes or typing your notes, your learning curve is like this. You will forget everything within the first week. So no last minute assignments, no last minute studying, no, cramming. You really have to put the time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think really great for students just to know, know what to expect. And basically, it's almost like a checklist they can look at and know what to do well. I found when I was a student still, it's just so much easier when you know what to do well. So yeah, that's great. Awesome. My next question for you is, what are some career options or typical next steps for students after they graduate from the program?
So you're going to be a legal assistant, but you know a lot about immigration. So you know how to draft memos, how to answer emails, how to do legal research for case law. But because you know immigration, obviously your niche work and your first target should be immigration firms. But if you're an immigration legal assistant, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be working in firms, other firms. Yes, you can work in a litigation firm, family law, criminal law, anything that, is law related and is in the legal field. You can definitely send your resume. However, as someone who owns a business that is immigration, when somebody has a resume that did Immigration Legal Assistant Diploma at Ashton College, goes on top, because then I don't have to explain permanent resident card, citizenship, what is principal applicant, what is a spousal. I don't have to do that. You already know it. So it saves me a lot of time in training because you're already qualified. And especially if you're from Ashton College, then I know you're good.
That's definitely great to hear for all future Ashton College students and graduates. Perfect. Awesome. Then my next question for you would be, what is a typical day in the life of an immigration legal assistant, if there's such a thing?
Some days it's smooth. Some days it's just a day at the office. Some other days you wake up with 20 emails from IRCC, 50 emails from your clients, 20 other emails from Immigration Refugee Board, and it's a lot. It's so much. I don't keep assistants after 5 o'clock. They start at 9, they leave at 5. But I don't. It's very different because, you're responsible for the applications and everything. However, I'm sure that they are sometimes struggling to balance this much work. If especially you are working in a bigger firm and it's not small business and it's bigger and you have more responsibilities, there are more paralegals, you're not the only assistant, there are more people. You always have to remember that no matter how busy the day is or how many things are bombarded at you and you're overwhelmed, keep one task at a time. That's it. You just have to really keep your cool. You really have to try to balance between what's important that I have to do first and then move forward with the other tasks. It can get really overwhelming because it's people's livelihood. Immigration is people's livelihood. It's so much in your hands, you know? It's not just you want a, meal, here's your meal, goodbye. No, they're with you for so many months. I have clients that have been with me since 2021 because I started the whole process and they're with me until they get their citizenship, for example. And that takes years. So build good relationships, try to keep your calm. It's just the nature of this work. It's stressful, however, it's doable and manageable.
Okay, perfect. Then, is there any advice you give to students who are new to the industry or are changing industries?
If you're new to the industry and this is the career path that you want to take, I tell you to definitely go for it. It's very rewarding, obviously. However, I might be, I I might not be the best person to answer this because I like what I do. I really do. And I find that I wouldn't do anything differently. I still want to be in the legal field and everything. However, if you're changing careers, do not compare this career with your previous career. It's 100% different. If you were in healthcare, if you were a teacher, or anything else, this is very different. And the stakes are way higher because of how much you're involved in people's lives and their livelihood.
That's great advice for sure. Awesome. And then what would you say is your number one reason why students should choose a career in this field, specifically this program?
It's very fulfilling. Obviously, there's always the good always come with the bad. And you can be in any field and be like, today was not a good day. Or this month, everything's kind of unbalanced. But you always have to remember there's always going to be people that are unhappy or, oh, you could have done better. You could have done it faster, things like that. You did your best. And when a client smiles, sends you a thank you card, just sends you an email saying, thanks for helping me with this. It is your job. But that just one little gesture of kindness and appreciation honestly means the world to me. And because I'm an immigrant myself and I was given this opportunity to do this with my life, which I feel good about my work and I feel good about, where I'm standing. I really, really suggest that for people.
That's great to hear. That sounds so inspiring. Awesome. Okay, so we're almost at the end of my questions. I have one last question for you, and that is, what has changed the most in your field since you started?
IRCC has changed a lot. IRCC comes up with a lot of rules, closes programs, gives a capacity to programs. So it's very sometimes uncertain. So it might not be something you wanted the outcome to be something, might not happen because the decision on the application is not on me and it's not really on the applicant, the client either. So you just have to know that you have to keep update your knowledge. You have to keep improving your knowledge, have other assistants or colleagues who you can share ideas with. So what has changed is obviously a lot of people want to come in and there are a lot of ways for it. And you win when you know exactly what's good for who.
Great. Thank you so much for all these insights. Perfect. So with that, we are coming to the Q&A portion of this event. So my first question from the audience would be, does this course lead to RCIC designation to practice immigration as a consultant?
No, because you're going to be an immigration legal assistant. It's a diploma. So at the end, you're certified as a legal assistant, basically. You will be assisting RCICs, paralegals, lawyers, any legal professional who wants help with, their workload. So you won't be a RCIC. For that, I think you have to go to another learning institution that is offering the a consultant diploma. What we did at Ashton, which the program is no longer available, but it is in other learning institutions. So short answer, no. Long answer, you be assisting RCICs or lawyers or paralegals.
Okay, thank you. What route can you recommend, part-time or full-time, for a full-time mom?
First of all, kudos that you want to go to school and take a class, because I'm sure, full-time mom, you have 3 jobs. I cannot really say that because I'm not a mom. However, there were so many students who had their webcams on throughout the past 2 years and couple months that I've been with Ashton, that they literally were holding their children while they were listening to me. And they would mute when the child was crying or, fussing. They would go for a second and they would come back. And they did great in the class as well. So if you're not working outside the home or have a remote job or any, you're not employed and you're a mom, depends how many children I guess you have. If you have like 1 child, you probably can take care of the full time. But totally depends on how much extra time, which is definitely needed for you, for your, for yourself. How much extra time do you need to like rest and recover? Because every single day you have to listen to me talk either in person or in a recording for 3 hours. And you have to do probably assignments, little quizzes, and you have to take care of your household and your child. So that's something that you really should see how you feel about it. But there were many mothers, fathers with multiple children that took the full time and they passed with great marks and they did amazing. So I'm sure you can do it too, but you can decide.
I think that's definitely a super great advantage that you have so many. You have the option to either go full-time or part-time. Then there's another question asking, what kind of academic support is available if a student is struggling? For example, are there office hours, etc.?
100%. Obviously, because there's no actual office, I'm not going to say I'll be online for like 3 hours if you want to show up, if you don't want to show up. I have the policy of obviously giving my phone number at first because it's my business number. Anyone can have it, especially my students. So if you don't have access to your Ashton email or any email to ask me a question, you can just send me a message on WhatsApp or on iMessage, and I will get back to you, always say within 24 hours, because either I have to get back to you within 24 hours or I'll see you tomorrow in class. So I can just wait after class and answer your questions. So there's no actual office hours, but I personally, I am available because the classes that, we teach is like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So I know for 2 and 3 weeks, I have students reaching out to me. So I'm checking my Ashton email frequently. And normally what I do for all the classes, while I'm teaching, you can ask questions. I'm not going to be like, oh, no questions. If I'm really in the middle of a thought and I know I'm going to lose it, I probably say, give me 1 second, keep that. And I finish my sentence and I get back to the student to answer the question. But whenever the clock hits noon, because it's like 9 to 12, I say, okay, everyone can go. But if you have any questions from even last week or today or anything you want to discuss, I can turn off the recording. We can discuss it while the Zoom is happening. So no office hours per se, but I find the time and I am available. So if a student reaches out to me, they will get their answer and the support and the help that they need, at least from me. So do not worry about that. We're here to help.
Great. That's definitely great to hear. And I'm sure makes it so much easier and less daunting for prospective students.
I understand I would say fear. I understand it. However, no, we are with you every step. I mean, as a teacher, that's what I have to do. And I would love to, I love it when people ask questions and they say, well, you talked about this. How about this thing? And I'm like, this is amazing. And I encourage that so much. And I always say, there's no silly question. There's no bad question. Ask your questions. It's way better than just staying silent. Ask questions. Do not be shy. We're all here. And I always say, like, we're all here to learn. Don't think that I learn more than you. I might learn something from you guys. You never know.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great approach for sure. Perfect. I think that is everything. Thank you so much for everyone for asking away. And Mahsa, do you have any closing thoughts you would like to share with us today?
If you are planning to start your way into the legal field, this is the program for you. It is manageable enough, and every office needs help. Every office needs a legal assistant, no matter if it's immigration office or any other legal firm or other law firms, not necessarily the ones that do immigration. So I started as a legal assistant when I was a student as SFU, as I mentioned, and that work in that immigration office led me to this career choice. So I'm not saying it works for everyone, but Exhibit A, it did work for me. If you really like the field, some people love to be working in a hospital. Some people love to help people that way. If you like working in an office and dealing with people's application and immigration pathways, start with this program. You never know, maybe you like it too much. You apply for law school. Maybe you become a paralegal. Maybe you do RCIC. You never know. So don't doubt. Go for it.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mahsa, for taking the time to join us. It's been really great hearing from an industry professional in the field and someone with experience and hands-on knowledge. Yeah, these info sessions are always a great way for prospective students to ask their questions and get to know their instructors and gain a good understanding of the program. If you're interested in the Immigration Legal Assistant Diploma, please learn more by scanning the QR code that will be shared in a minute. Thank you again for joining us today and have a great rest of your day.